This podcast is brought to you by MHA of Dutchess County and produced by CMJW Entertainment. This episode of the Vital Women podcast is proudly sponsored by Salt Boutique Labs. You're listening to the Vital Women podcast.
Welcome back to the Vital Women. It is Women's History, a time to honor the architects of our past and while celebrating the women building our future. Our guest today is a perfect example of building that spirit. She is the president and founder of Glow Foundation Alliance, an organization dedicated to the community empowerment, philanthropy, and creating an alliance for those that need it the most. Based out of West Palm, her work is about turning visualization into impact. Welcome, Salomé Mondelus.
Thank you, Yvette. Thank you. I am so delighted to be on this platform today, the Vital Women, and thank you for having me.
It's such a pleasure to have you. And please state your name again, because I am one to constantly screw up people's last name. So I want our audience to hear the actual pronunciation because it's a little bit French pronunciation.
Yes,
and I tried my
definitely.
best.
I sure will. My name is Salomé Mondelus.
Mandela's.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sounds similar to Nelson Mandela.
In a way, yeah,
In
that
a
is
way.
true. Like Mandela, yes, Mondelus.
Dallas. But it's such an honor, Salomé, because when I met you, I felt such a strong connection right away. When you told me your name and you told me where you're from, I'm like, we share an island, La Española. Haiti and
Sure.
Dominican Republic are neighbors, so we're
Yes,
island
we are.
neighbors. And that was very exciting to me. And also, your name is a legacy in Dominican Republic. Salomé Ureña was the first founder to start a school for young ladies in Dominican Republic, La Señorita, for them to start formal education. And through her poetry and advocacy, that's how she let the country and the government know how important it was to educate young women. And that was like during the 19th century. So your name means leadership and is very well represented in Dominican Republic.
Yes, well, thank you. I didn't know about her until when you mentioned, and I did I went and checked. I'm like, oh my God, we have such similarities. And thank you for, telling me about her and then for me to kind of reference her now in my work and what I do. So yeah, Salome Urania, I think is there in Nendes.
Yes, I think she has another last name. I always forget, in Dominican culture, we tend to have many last names and people tend to use all of them. I'm not one for that, but if
Well,
those are
it's
your
okay.
names, if those are your names, you have to use
She was
them.
a very strong woman.
She was a very strong woman. Yes, she was. So let's talk a little bit about the spark. What made you want to start the Glow Foundation? And it's such an honor because this month we're celebrating women. So who inspired you to start the foundation? Was it women from history, or was it a personal life experience that led you to start your foundation?
Well, it's a personal life experience that that sparked me to start my foundation. Um, it's based on my own journey. I've been dealing with psoriasis for the past 18 years of my life, and through that, with multiple other chronic illnesses such as lupus, Sjogren's syndrome, and so forth. So, therefore, these my challenges give me a sense of purpose to fight, to advocate for other women facing the same ordeal that I'm dealing with. So, in a nutshell, I want you to know that Glow Foundation, it's a nonprofit organization dedicated to advocating for families and underserved and low-income community, but with a special focus on women and children dealing with psoriasis or any other chronic skin diseases, autoimmune condition, and mental health related challenges. So our goal is to bring awareness, provide education, and create safe spaces where people can learn, heal, and feel supported. So our mission is simple, is to inspire confidence, self-acceptance, and whole person health in every individual that we serve.
That's wonderful, because the word glow implies light. So you're providing women a voice, an opportunity to shine their light. Given how women have contributed historically, and a lot of the times they were kept in the shadows. And now with your foundation, it sounds to me that no matter what you're going through in life, whether it is mental health or whether you're going through a physical illness such as psoriasis or lupus, you can still have that voice and you can still shine your light.
Yes, definitely, because these challenges have a lot of layers. It's not just one thing or the other, but it's everything together. Finding other people dealing or facing with the same thing you're facing is not easy, especially if you're dealing with skin problem because of the stigma and the shame, the fear, the judgment. So you tend to kind of isolate yourself. So it's a very complicated, very complex situation, very complex illness or condition. So therefore, it was needed. It was needed for other women to know that there is a place that they can come and feel, they don't have to hide themselves. They can just be themselves. So, and I wanted that. I wanted to create that for them, that space.
That's
And
wonderful. To be visible is very important as human beings. And tell me about the other part of your name, Alliance, because Alliance means, coming together, building a sisterhood. So with choosing that name, also, what inspired you to add that to be part of your foundation?
I chose Alliance because of community, sisterhood, collective work, because you cannot do anything by yourself. So I need my expertise, my talents, my gift, and yours. And it's a way as well to bring, I wanted to bring other nonprofit partners, collaborators, because like I mentioned, these conditions are very tough conditions. We don't know so many people are dealing or facing difficulties and things probably they don't want to talk about. Or we have other organizations that are dealing, that are helping, it might not be the same issue, but similar issues in a way, like difficult issues. So we need to work together. So therefore, I honored all the people that are, that are advocating, that are putting the work and and that are bringing awareness and shedding light to difficult situations. So that's why Alliance means it's very big, and it's big for me, and it's big for our nonprofit.
Thank you for sharing that. That is such a vital message, and for having such a safe space for women to come and feel comfortable and share not just their physical challenges, but I'm sure that sometimes when people are dealing with those illnesses, it also impacts their mental health, emotionally and spiritually. So you're providing them with a place where they're not going to be judged. So thank you for doing such great work.
Exactly. Exactly. So you nailed it.
So, with that being said, looking back at history and how far we have come as women, because I'm sure these are not challenges that exist in 2026. I'm sure these are challenges that existed in the 1800s, 1900s. Like I mentioned, Salome, was a leader during that time. But I'm sure women were afraid to talk about the personal issues they were experiencing. So even though that we have come very far, I know that sometimes, women and people in general
Mhm.
still feel judged. And so in your organization, how do you help them to create that confidence for them to find their voice?
Well, like you mentioned, in history, women have always faced a lot of difficulties and barriers, especially women of color, immigrant caregivers, and those living, um, in I'll say low income communities. So a lot of time they don't have a voice, or they have a fear. So we educate them. So the more importantly, when you're educated, we educate them and provide them resources to be able to advocate and defend themselves. It's not like a one-time thing. It's a constant effort that we are making to make sure that not just we educate the women, but we educate the communities as well. We bring awareness. And language barrier sometimes plays a big role. And we know we living in Florida, which is a melting pot. So we have a lot of people that really doesn't speak the language, and sometimes fear of going or people not really understanding them. I said it again. They live in isolation. So we provide education, we bring awareness, and to make sure that the community really understand the need of what's going on in the community, and for the people to able to advocate for themselves, educate, and resources.
So those are some of the barriers that and challenges that you see: the language barriers, the isolation. What other challenges do you see within women in the community?
Well, there are many challenges. I'll tell you what, transportation.
Mm.
So we provide transportation as well, because Florida is known. So if you don't drive in Florida, it's a problem, because transportation is not like, people in New York where you can just hop on a train or the bus. So we provide
Correct.
transportation.
That's in New York City. In the county that I live in, we also have that as a challenge, transportation, because
Oh.
if you don't have a car, it's very difficult to get around this county, and public transportation is very sporadic. So
Mm.
that is something that we have in common in the area that you're in Florida. That is one of the challenges. So it's so interesting for me to hear, and also for the audience to hear that in other places of the
So it's
United
not
States, there is that challenge as well.
when it comes to transportation. What about
Yes.
caregivers overload? So a lot of time women are caring for children, aging parents,
Mhm.
extended families, and while quietly do what? Collapsing with
Yes.
themselves. So they don't share. So they're trying to be that superwoman and have all this load in their shoulder. And one of the things that is very common in this community is mental health challenges, anxiety, depression, trauma. Um, and I mentioned earlier, stigma,
Mm.
lack of cultural competent support. So these things, and then society have a way to view women. You have a certain way to show up. So when these people are not able, so what happened? They isolate themselves and they fall into depression. And yet these people are women with families, with children. So they have to be that superwoman for their family. And while yet they are struggling to even barely make it to even stay alive. And this is very big. And I remember earlier I mentioned as well language as well. It's a big problem. And I'm not gonna stop emphasizing on that. So how we do respond just to overall, we respond by blending education, advocacy, spiritual care, and bridging the gap between medical language, medical mental health and other life community realities too. Yeah.
Mhm. All those issues are very common also in the area that I live in. And one of the things that I say all the time is that women operate on exhaust fumes, because what I do in my role as a formal social worker and also in Vital Women, I want to shine that light. I want the audience to know the roles
Mhm.
that we have, that we are leaders, even if they're women that may not be out there working, but they're still leaders within their homes. And it takes a
Exactly.
lot of responsibility to carry that weight on your shoulder, especially single parents. Not too long ago, I had Judith Ray, which she was a single parent, and she carried that heaviness, that role on her
Mhm.
shoulder ever since she was a teenager. And that can push you over the edge to lose yourself a little bit, and to question your emotions, and to create those mental illness that sometimes we are afraid to speak up and to say, I'm suffering, I'm going through this. So I am so glad that you have your Glow Foundation Alliance to provide that space, because I find that women struggle with sharing who they are. They want to maintain that mask all the time, that superwoman, I'm strong. And it's very difficult to carry that challenge all the time. So thank you for the work that you do.
Well, thank you, Yvette. You know, that's Glow Foundation is a family-oriented organization. And the word glow means so much to me because, to glow means to radiate light. Because I know firsthand what people that are dealing or facing those challenging, how they feel. Because it was me. And I'm still dealing with a lot of challenges, with a lot of health problem. But now I accept my reality. Until that you said, okay, you know what, this is part of my life and you accept it, it's going to be a challenge. So the word glow means to radiate light. So I want to, the organization to be a little breath of fresh air to these people. And my favorite, one of my, because I have many, but one of my favorite Bible verse is Genesis 3,
Mm,
verse 1, and it says, "Let there be light." That's what God
yes,
said.
yes.
Let there be light. Light, when there is light, it brings happiness. It,
Mm.
yes, it's God. Light is God's presence. Light is peace. Light is togetherness. It's love. And that's what I wanted the people to feel. And sunflower is my favorite flower, especially.
Another thing we have in common, because the sunflower is one of my favorite flowers. They're such a happy, beautiful flower.
Yes. And it represents loyalty.
Yes.
It represents loyalty. It represents faithfulness. And yeah, so I want these people to know that, you know what, this is home. You're not alone. You can come here with your problem, with whatever that you're dealing with, but there's gonna be somebody to heal you, someone to give you a hug, a smile, to provide you, to educate you on how to defend yourself, to advocate for yourself, just a sisterhood, a family. that you can count on. And it doesn't matter how dark your heart is based on what you are dealing with, but when you come to the organization and we meet with one of us, you will feel different.
Thank you for sharing that because, I love for the audience to understand what you just said and what's happening here because there's always been that war between Dominican Republic and Haiti sharing the same land and
Mhm.
always one side pointing to the other. And I just want my audience to know how touched I am to an honor to know you. And even though that we have differences, but we also have a lot of similarities. And when you brought that vision about sunflowers, it just created such a warm feeling in my heart. And when you talk to people, that's how you find out about each other. And you can put aside the differences and you can find out, hey, they're human just like me. They feel like I do, and they struggle like I do, and they have challenges, and they work hard to get over those challenges. So I would love for my audience to understand that a lot of the times there's a stigma in Dominican Republic. We don't like Haitians because of different, a lot of negative messages that are
Mhm.
put out there. But I want them to see you, what a beautiful woman you are, and what a big heart you have. And it took a lot for you to start your Glow Foundation and how much you're giving back to your community and to women. So I cannot stop saying thank you enough. It just warms my heart.
Well, Yvette, it's an honor, and I thank you for highlighting Glow Foundation, the work that we do, and so far, and we have been in existence for only 2 years,
Mm.
but I've been doing the work for over 7 years. So, it means so much to me because it's home. Because I've been sick, like I said, for almost 20 years, been diagnosed for 18 years with psoriasis. So therefore, it's a part of my life. All the challenges, they are part of my life. So it was a way for me, it was a coping mechanism in a way, helping other people, try to find people that are facing this problem. It was a coping mechanism. When I understood, I said, you know what, okay, so there is no cure for this. So how am I gonna live? And like I mentioned, my health declined from one thing to another, from psoriatic arthritis, lupus, Sjogren's syndrome. It was constant. There was always something else. So how do I cope? What do I do? So, and the idea came on starting Glow. Like I said, I started the work before the company.
And
So
that's how a lot of the time certain organizations start. You start doing a lot of the work behind the scenes and you start growing that seed. And now, 7 years later or more, you have been known for the last 2 years as an official organization. And
exactly.
what a beautiful story that you took your challenges and you have turned them into educating and advocating for women. That takes a lot. That takes a lot of spirit
Well,
because you haven't relied on some people might, um start saying, oh, poor me, and operating on that self-pity image. You just turned everything around.
my faith has a lot to do with that. I'm a very spiritual person and I'm a joyful person. Anybody that knows me will tell you I'm a very joyful, always happy. So people that know me, most of them, a lot of them won't even know if I'm dealing with things like that. Because I'm always happy, looking my best, because every day for me it's a blessing. I wake up, it's a blessing. So therefore, I'm always like, okay, how's the day's going to go? But it's always in a positive note and a happy note. So that also has a lot of impact on the way that I live or I carry myself or I show up. So yes, regardless, you see, I'll tell you what. I'll say when I was first diagnosed, maybe, you know, 17, because I've been diagnosed for about 18 years. Over not about 18 years, over 18 years. But the thing is, I was young. So I had questions. Why me? Because I didn't understand at that age for a doctor to tell you that you're dealing with something and there is no cure for it. So there was a lot of concern. And the disease was taking over, all over my body, my feet, and things like that. I have scalp psoriasis, I developed inverse psoriasis. So it was very challenging. But when I started to understand my journey, so then I rephrase it and I said, God, why me? What did you see in me? So to make me go to that journey to help other women is because you see that, I'm one of your strongest soldiers. So not everybody can go to what I go through on a daily basis. But I don't take it as a punishment. No, not at all. Actually, I want to show up my best to help others and to let other people know, there is light, there's always hope. it's okay. We go through things. This is part of our journey. That's part of my journey, and I accept it, and it's fine. And with support, I have support. My husband been on my back from the very beginning, so I couldn't be more blessed. I couldn't be more blessed. So yeah, it's not I'm okay.
I'm glad
I'm
to hear that.
okay.
You have quite the spirit, and women that have supported our history and created for us to have this voice today, they have always been one of the first. So I feel you're one of the first to really advocate about psoriasis and all the hidden diseases that come behind the psoriasis, because it's not just a skin disease. That's what you see on the outside. Like you mentioned, there's more that happens within your body. So
Mhm.
I don't know too many organizations that advocate for psoriasis, at least here in Dutchess County. So for me, you're one of the first to
Mhm.
share this story. So with that being said, what would you like to share with young girls that may be afraid to take those steps, to be one of the first to talk about something unique about them or a challenge that they're experiencing? How do you give them that will for them to step out of that comfort zone?
Well, I want them to know that first, they're not alone. You're never alone in the fight. There's always going to be other people dealing with the same thing that you're dealing with, and believe it or not, it might not be exactly the same, but there's always going to be some similarities. So, which is one. And secondly, your journey does not define you, but it's actually your journey help you to be the person, the version that you'll need to be. Sometimes you need to face what you're dealing with in order to really find you. So I'll tell young girls, be strong. So try to understand your journey and know that there's always light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm.
So you can rewrite the story, you can rewrite the narrative, but it's up to you. And find support, find people, and don't deal with whatever you're dealing with alone. Talk about it. I'm not saying to anyone, but find the right people, the right circle, and to talk about it. And it's okay. Don't hide yourself. Don't hide. Be your authentic self despite of whatever that you're dealing with. Because in order for you to be liberated, you need to be your authentic self. And everybody is dealing with something. You're never alone in the fight. So when you're hiding, you're not doing yourself a favor, you're not doing other people a favor. We need that togetherness. So it's okay to bring your cross, and because when you open up, you'll see so many other people, so many other young girls your age that'll be able to say, you know what, if you can do it, I can do it too. This is what you're dealing with, this is what I'm dealing with, and this is how community is built. So that I want my young girls to just be strong and try to accept um the journey. Doesn't matter how hard or dark it could be.
Thank you. Thank you. What's one tool that they can pull out of, let's say, their toolbox to change that mindset, to give them that voice, to stop their self-doubt and that fear so that they can glow?
Acceptance.
Mm.
Acceptance is a big key.
That
Until you know who
self.
you are and you accept what you are facing. Acceptance and a community. So your circle. Acceptance in your circle. Because believe it or not, we need the support. You cannot do it alone. This is when the alliance comes to play. You need your sisterhood. You need support. You need your family. You need people to help you in that process. So surround yourself with people that loves you
Mm.
and that want the very best for you. And acceptance and accept it. Free yourself. Be your authentic self. Yeah, it's
Thank
not
you.
much.
Thank you. So, if you had an opportunity to invite a
Mhm.
dinner that you're hosting, three women, it could be from history or present time, to embed that spirit of glow, who would you select?
First, I also let Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman was a leader on the Underground Railroad. She
Mm.
represents courage, resiliency, liberation, and radical faith.
Mm.
Glow carries the same spirit, helping women move from internal captivity,
Mm.
shame, fear, illness, stigma, into freedom, into light, dignity, self-advocacy, radiance.
That is
So,
so powerful.
I will definitely invite Harriet Tubman. She was a very brave and strong woman, and I
Mm.
am a very brave and
Yes, you
strong
are.
woman. I am very brave. Tell you the truth, I don't have no fear. I don't think anything can break my spirit.
Mm.
That doesn't exist for me. Yes, we have our ups and downs, but I face uncertainty. I do what I have to do. If I need a good cry, I'll have a good cry. Gonna have a good glass of wine and continue the fight. So yeah, so Harriet Tubman that really resonates with me. Another person I'll invite Saint Therese of Lisieux. Saint Therese of Lisieux is a Catholic saint, known for her little ways. She says that you don't need to do much.
Mm,
Everything, you can do little things, but with big heart, with big
mm.
heart. So glow impacts happen in quiet moments, in a listening ear, and a hug, and a smile. She reminds me that transforming life does not always look grand. It often looks like faithfulness in the small things that we do.
I
So
love that. I love that because a lot of the times, I think we tend to forget and we think that change comes through doing big actions, but it can also come with small actions
and the
uh,
little things that we do.
and the little things that we do. Thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that. I'm not familiar with that saint, but
Oh,
I
Saint Therese
definitely,
of Lisieux. Saint Therese of Lisieux.
okay,
She was very young. Well, you can look for her.
I'm going to look for her. Yes,
She
yes.
had a servant heart. She had
Mm,
a servant heart. And that, that resonates with me because I have a servant heart.
yes,
I,
you
I
do.
was born to serve. I was born. If I'm not serving, something is missing. Like through my work, everything that I do, I need to be in action. I need to serve. I need to help people. And this is how God's created me. Bless you. This is how God's
Thank
created
you.
me.
What
So,
gives you that serving spirit?
and I'll tell you what gave me that serving spirit, and that's my third person, and that the number one, that's my mom, Margaret Jean. Um, hold on.
Take your time.
Um, my mom had a very short life.
Mm,
She died at 35. I was 13. But
wow.
that woman installed so much of me. And I didn't know I was so similar to my mother until today when I look back at my life. My mom used to cook for the poor. She'll go and buy clothes and shower them, always buy, um, how we call them, things for the hospital. She was always in service of others. And she didn't really have much.
Mm,
Living in Haiti, in a country that was not too promising, and she was very young. But yet she used, the little that she had to share with others. And she was paying school fees for people. My mom was a teacher, and teachers in every country do not get paid much. And we're talking about the 1990s. But yes, she managed to take care of me. She managed to take care of herself. She managed to share with others, with the less fortunate. She managed to buy hospital supplies for people that are sick, people that needs the help, that do not have that don't have the money. So that spirit of service, really, that's what my mom taught me. And she installed it in me without knowing because I was my mom only child. So wherever she goes, I was always there. So
mm.
everything that she was doing, I was always part of it. And today I thank God for it. I thank God for the person that I am. I thank God for that gift, for that servant spirit, that servant soul that is in me. And I want to thank her. And I know she's listening to me.
Wonderful. Such an
And I want to
inspirational.
thank God for giving me one of her angel as a mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because with the country where opportunity was well limited, she managed to do all that.
Such a fortunate child. It's sad that you lost your mom at such a young age, but you were a very fortunate child to have the opportunity to have known her the way that you did, that she was a serving soul, because not too many of us have that chance to learn from such a beautiful role model. So you are and were very blessed.
Amen to that. I can say that today, when I look back, I can say that I was very blessed. I was very blessed. And yes, so that's my life in a nutshell. So I'll invite these three women and to really have a talk and for them to explain me how did you manage to do all that, to accomplish all that. And all these women, as they didn't really have much.
Well, I
Um,
want to tag along. I want to be at the table too, because I would love to be present and to have a conversation with those wonderful women and get to pick their minds and see their thoughts and really how they were driven. And like you said, they didn't have much. So you have a great list to choose from.
but they had a desire to serve.
Mm.
That's what they had. That desire was stronger. That sense of purpose was stronger than everything that they were facing, all these barriers.
That's a good point. So we're coming to the end of our show. And Salome, I want to thank you so much for sharing your light and your legacy with us today. And to our listeners, remember that history isn't just something that we read about. We can make our own history. We can create our own history, and we can support and empower each other. So how can we learn more about the Glow Foundation Alliances? Can you share a link with us so that way our audience can learn more about the foundation and perhaps even, donate to the foundation because you're doing excellent work?
Yes, definitely. I could share a link with you, or they can check my website, www.glowfoundationalliance.org, or can email me at info@glowfoundationalliance.org. And I will definitely share a link. And thank you. I'm always looking for partners, sponsors, donors, any way that you can help. And I'll gladly appreciate, and I thank you in advance, because the work we're doing is very important. It's vital in Palm Beach County. We are the first organization that really caters to people that are dealing with severe skin problems and such as psoriasis. And so therefore we need the help. We need the support.
Well, thank you, Salome, once again for taking the time to be on the Vital Women. And to my listeners, stay vital, and we'll see you next time. And if you like this content, please subscribe to the Vital Women. Have a wonderful rest of the week.
This podcast is brought to you by MHA of Dutchess County and produced by CMJW Entertainment. This episode of the Vital Women podcast is proudly sponsored by Salt Boutique Labs,